Hello, my name is Lowell, pronouns he, him, and this is another session of Star Trek Adventures, second edition, the voyages of a Challenger class ship known as Kintsugi. This is a second series of this ship, essentially after a little reboot break with a slightly new cast of characters. And we take up with them in the midst of the mission that, if you have the STA book, is the intro adventure that's at the back of the book. I did make the adjustments for stress to the characters. I don't see anything that gives Dunna the Vulcans additional stress on their traits or things. You mentioned that.
Maybe I like I don't think I paid an awful lot of attention
Okay,
before. It
yeah,
was just like something I
there's a
thought I
lot of things.
spotted.
So part of what I got wrong is that shields, which operate like stress, are calculated by two values in the thing, and of course, so I my brain just went, well, it has to have symmetry across subsystems, where I was wrong about that.
Well,
Um,
first edition also had the fitness plus
yeah, yeah.
security thing, so
So we are taking up. And we've got two sets of scenes we're going to be doing on ship, on planet. We've got some tasks on both sides of things. We are going to start in the orbital thing. This is sort of the ticking clock. It may get a little less attention than the stuff on the planet. We'll see how it balances out on this. But I think we come back from the commercial break and the person on sensors has said to Commander Vate, uh, a, a Dominion ship, a Jem'Hadar attack ship, has just dropped out of warp at long range, sir. And it's a Jem'Hadar attack ship, and you have gone to red alert. So Vate, what is the next step here?
I think my first step is I would like to invoke my talent well informed. I have contacts everywhere and listen to news and rumors far and wide, which I think reflects Lieutenant Vate's, role in Starfleet intelligence beforehand.
Okay.
Uh, I may add one threat to ask the game master two questions about the situation or location.
Okay.
Um, and I think that's basically works out as it's cheaper than spending momentum to get two questions rather than one.
Yep.
And I think the scope of it's bigger, perhaps. I don't have to do a setup task or anything. But what I'd like to ask is what does Starfleet intelligence know about Dominion forces in the section? Like if we engage with this ship, is it likely that reinforcements will be imminent because they're in the area?
That's a good question. So let's focus on the reinforcement as your question here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you were to attack them, uh, they do have a chance. There are ships, in the sector at large. They could, send comms out. Normally, uh, they come in pairs, these attack ships, so it's a little unusual that there's a single one. Um, but reinforcements like immediate reinforcements doesn't seem likely. But you have the problem that if they do send comms, the clock starts ticking on that. Does that seem
Yeah.
like a fair answer?
No, that seems perfect because I mean, it being Star Trek, right? Like technically, reinforcements are always a plot device away, right?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
but
Depends on how much threat I've got in my threat pool.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But it does say that, like, this is not the scout of a fleet that's in the area or something that could be there in like as soon as it registers, as you
Right.
know. Uh, and
What's your
my
second question?
second question is: Starfleet's had a few battles with the Dominion so far. Um, how does the Kintsugi shape up against this ship?
So the Jem'Hadar attack ships are uh, a slightly smaller scale than you. They are scale 3, so it's down a step. The Galaxy classes are scale 6. Um, but they are focused on attack.
Yeah.
So they're quite nasty. In particular, uh, like as they get in a medium and close range, they are using phase Polarian beam banks, and
Mm.
those can punch through resistance, um, which means that fighting them, you're probably going to win, but it's also likely you're going to take some damage. Like it is, they are smaller than you, but they can do a lot of damage.
Right. No, that's a fair. I mean, it's not a guaranteed loss, which was
Right.
there, right?
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be a guaranteed win. There's no way that would ever be so nice. But okay,
Things could go terribly wrong.
yeah. Um, I would immediately raise the away team. Have they found Doctor Lou?
Okay. We're going to cut
And
now.
his
Yeah.
intention is to beam them up immediately,
Yeah.
right? But obviously, yeah.
We're actually going to cut down to the planet as you're saying to the comms officer, raise raise the away team. And we see Devel and Varric and Ward and Tavilik in this portable lab. You're on the interior. You can see that it has been partially dismantled. Like a good deal of systems have been boxed up and broken down and things like that. But there's still some consoles and computer readouts that are running. This must have been maybe a 5, 6 person lab, and Lou is the last person, and he has sat you down after his initial panicked statement, and he is saying, um, so I was preparing to break everything down. Per protocol, we'd sent the rest of the team away, um, uh, and I was running the last of the calculations we had uh, to do some more genetic analyses. And while that was running, I thought I will take a last walk around. Uh, I and he will show you his essentially prosthetic disguise for the voiced, and he will say, uh, uh, "So I've come across people from the village. It's only a couple of kilometers from here, uh, uh, and this time I came across a couple, and one of them was." One of them appeared to be in great pain. He was holding his forearm, which, uh, from from all that I could tell, it looked like it had turned to stone, a chalky white stone. Um, I immediately offered aid, but the the partner of this voiced shooed me away and said that this was a completely unknown disease and that other people in their village had taken ill, had fallen similarly ill. Um, uh, and I fell back. I fear that our presence here are something has occurred, maybe someone who was here, something in our efforts has brought this disease to this people.
All right, Dr. Chang. Um, did you run any analysis of what else might have changed in this time period? I
I
mean,
haven't had a chance to do much. I've been running very basic materials. I haven't had uplink to a ship's computer to do
understand.
full analysis or contact tracing or anything like that. Um, and the couple of the only ones that I've gone across, I didn't want to because I knew you were coming. I didn't want to leave and try to get genetic samples to
Good, good.
analyze this.
You followed protocol. That's commendable. Um, where did your team disperse to?
They were picked up
Oh, okay.
already. Yes,
Yeah.
I'm the only one left behind. I'm closing
Okay.
everything down.
All right.
And I just
Well,
want to talk meta here for a moment, because I'm going to step out a little higher level. One of the things is in Star Trek, you have a mission and you have a set of directives. Obviously, General Order 1, the prime
mhm.
directive, is always on the table. Here's the three mission statement directives that you were also given for this task. Determine why contact was lost with Dr. Liu. Uh, if he's unharmed, assist with the lab's dismantling and transport him home. And if he has fallen to harm, render necessary assistance. So those are the orders from Starfleet. Uh,
We have the Prime Directive as well, don't we?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
that's always up there. Varric, what's your reaction to all of this? What do we see you doing here? Devel seems to be kind of engaging the doctor, kind of keeping him focused. What are you doing?
I say, Dr. Liu, logic suggests that we should try and discern the impact of your presence on this culture and try and help these people. We are adequately disguised. I am a medical professional. I
Oh, thank goodness.
would like, can you point me in the direction of the nearby settlement so that I may begin to diagnose what is wrong with them?
Certainly, I can give you directions. Um, perhaps if I can have some assistance running the contact tracing while you go and see about getting a
My
better sample.
my colleagues are probably more qualified to do that. I would like to look at the patients myself.
Mr. Varick, while I applaud your initiative, we have to be very careful. In regards, Dr. Chang has already admitted that they've had minimal contact in the past, and
Our
when he
disguises have held up surprisingly well, and there are travelers around among the voice, so strangers have not been seen as untoward.
I, I believe we have taken precautions by dressing in this local garb and disguising our features. Surely this is adequate precaution for Starfleet.
As your security advisor, I can't recommend it, Mr. Varick.
There are people who need help, and logic dictates that if people are in need of help and we can provide that help, then we should provide the help.
Of course, but that's against the Prime Directive, Mr. Varick. You must understand that's the same thing as the Vulcans gave that to Starfleet. Ward, you've got
Well,
something to
sorry, but if our if we can establish that our presence here, Starfleet's presence here, has communicated some disease to these people, surely Mr.
it is
Vark
a
is correct.
yeah,
We
Oh, yes.
must intervene in order to uphold the Prime Directive.
Of course, of course, Ward, Felix says, but and he reels off like exactly as per manual, blah blah blah. Like, we need to establish it first, but it's fine. We've got the Kintsugi above. You've not had access to a computer. I know, like we can run those things up there. There's nothing that's going to complicate this. This is a simple mission. There's no problems up in orbit. I'm sure we just get in touch with Vate, and it'll all be run through the ship's computers.
Absolutely. And that is our
so
perfect time when Ensign
yeah.
Faraga's voice comes over the comms. Kintsugi to away team and patching Commander Fate through.
This is Dr. DeVell speaking. We have located Dr. Chang. What seems to be the issue? Because y'all don't normally
Dr.
contact
DeBell,
us first.
do you have Dr. Liu?
Yes.
We detected a Jem'Hadar ship at long range I'm preparing to beam you all out.
We have a situation down here,
We have
sir.
a situation up here too, Dr. DeBella. Which one's more important?
Our presence might have broken Prime Directive. The native species seem to be suffering from a malady that might have been brought on by our presence, and we need to remedy this.
Might have been brought on by our presence?
Well, Dr. Chang hasn't had the capabilities to do, a reading of the area and detect any particulates that the survey team might have brought with them.
Commander Vate, I just need some time. Now that I have access to the records, we can figure out who it was who came down, who might have brought something. We can check and get a solution to this problem. If you could just give me a few hours.
Dr. Chang, you're telling me that you need access, you need the Kintsugi to remain in orbit so that you can undertake this research using our computers?
I can download the necessary logs within the next 15 to 20 minutes if you'll give me access.
Fargo, grant him access. You've got 20 minutes. We'll reconvene in that time. Everybody, get ready for battle stations. I'm going to last word to Dr. DeBell. Dr. DeBell, I trust you to take care of things on the ground. The Prime Directive has been breached. If we've caused injury to these people, we need to fix it.
Of course, sir.
We may be busy up here. I'll try to keep you posted.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the question on the ground. I need some people for the task to do the contact tracing. Are some of you going to go and try and secure genetic samples or interact with the locals? I think that was the debate that was on
Yeah.
the ground
So,
there.
out of character, I'm super into that idea of Mr. Varick going off. Um,
Tavalic, I think, would provide the opinion that like our prime director, they're not tracing the genetic samples, right? Is perhaps overwhelmed by the imminent danger of the Jem'Hadar, right? If we can get some samples and it can prove it one way or the other, then we don't need to wait around for the Jem'Hadar. Whereas if we play it too safely, then we could all end up blowing the prime directive when they blow up the ship in orbit, right? Like Dominion don't care about the prime directive.
it's true. It's true.
So who wants to stay here with Dr. Chang and who wants to go to the village? I'm pretty sure Varric.
Yeah, yeah. So, if people are, Devel would be staying to help, running with the sensors and whatnot, doing like the whole science stuff. Varric going and making the medical stuff. Meg, who would like to go with Varric? I think both Tavelik and Ward would be useful, and I think Tavelik would be great going with Varric, just as the security.
Yeah, it's
But
true.
like, hey, you need to calm down, Lieutenant.
So Tavalic, are you like a security officer?
Yeah, I'd be happy with that. I think it would be funny if he did get ordered to stay because he's also really high in science because he used to be a science officer, right? And then he transferred.
Oh, right.
So it would be very funny if now that he's finally in chief security, he's ordered to stay behind and help with the stuff. But I think
Now that I know that.
yeah. But let's find out what Ward wants to do first.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would probably push for Tavalic to go and Ward to stay. She is very much a fifth wheel in either of these things, I feel like, but maybe can help more with the
Oh,
contact tracing.
I mean, this is a genuine question. Could we have Ward beam back to the ship? Have Ward beam back to the ship during the 20 minutes? Since if a Dominion cruiser is above, like, hey, you're more useful up there.
It is right, yes.
Well, that is a
Which we
question
discussed
for
last week,
that is a
but-
question for Ward. Do you want to contact like do we see Ward?
I feel like if Vate really thought that he needed me, he would have said so.
Okay.
So
I think
I
that
mean, I mean, out of character, it's whatever Donna wants to do.
yeah,
You know,
no, I'm
that's what
happy
Vate
to.
wants to do.
Yeah, which do you want to
Yeah.
do, Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to have scenes with Devel and or Varric from a player point of view. I think that would
I,
be
I
what
I
I'm looking
think
for. So
if that's the choice you're going to make, I think that there is a certain amount of you, like you know that ship, you know that somebody else is not going to be able to do as well as you, but you are following regulations, and I think that is challenging. I mean, your value is causing you a problem by the book,
yeah, yeah.
so give yourself a point of determination.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Um, the other thing is, there are 3 or 4 other helm officers, on the ship.
Yeah,
They maybe
they
that's
got
worth
this.
a B plot at some feature point. Like,
Yeah,
how
yeah. I
did
mean,
those get on?
the
Yes,
main thing is that the show's writers wouldn't have put Ward on the planet if they were just going to be my backup again,
correct.
unless that was a moment that Ward had to be like, Captain, I need to be back on that ship kind of thing, right?
So,
So
Yeah.
so let's ask you this: you get that point of determination. How, like, what do we see Ward working through, or saying, or doing that tells us that Ward would like to be on that ship, but knows that they have been assigned here?
Yeah, I mean, um, I think it's almost something like, she, as this conversation is going on and she hears about the Jem'Hadar, like she takes out her personal tablet and like has, crypt sheets on their attack vessels and maybe is going, oh, noticing things that she's seen in simulations, right?
Okay,
And like we can see her go, oh, I really wanted to see, whether they can really pull off a Delta 4 turn, you know.
perfect. So let's do Varric, Ward, and Tvilic. Let's do that, getting to the village. Then we're going to come back to Devel and the interaction with Chang and the science there, and then we're going to cut back to the ship. So that's going to be our order of operations here. Um,
You're muted, Donna.
I might be staying with Develdo if I'm helping with the contact tracing, and then Tvelic and Varric are going
sure.
to the
Okay. Yeah.
village. Is
Well,
that?
we'll split two and
Yeah.
two. I like it. Uh, so what is the dynamic between Tvilic and Varric as they are headed towards the village? Like I want to see that scene on the road.
I mean, as soon as we leave, I say to Devilic, I know you have responsibilities and a duty, but we are entering into a situation where there may be an acute medical crisis. I would ask, and logic dictates, that if you are not going to help, that you stay out of my way.
and I'd remind you, Mr. Varick, you are that I am in command of this operation as far as our mission to the village goes. And I would ask you the same thing. If you're going to put this mission in danger, then you're going to not help anybody. And I would also remind you, and he taps his lieutenant's pit, and he says, I started off in the science division of Star Trek, of Starfleet, and I'm more than familiar with, and he lists off, like the Dembarian plague or the Deltan miasma. Uh, and you don't have any I know I won't get in your way, but you make sure you don't get in anybody else's, right? Perhaps work on your bedside manner somewhat if you're going to approach any of the natives.
When you are one of my patients, you will see that I have exemplary bedside matter. And it's nice to know that you might actually be useful on this mission if you were once a science officer.
And
Man, I believe you have
Tvilic smiles and says, I used to have they used to be a chief of engineering on the Kintsugi. You'd have really got along with Commander Tal.
And I think we'll cut to we've got a village set. Of course, it's on a soundstage, but we've got some nice painted backdrops, maybe even a little CG now that we can afford that. But it's definitely wooden homes here. There's a variety of local grasses, beautiful plants, exotic plants that Dr. DeVell is not going to get a chance to examine that are used for the roofs and foliage around. And it definitely, you can see there are a variety of homes. There are stables. You seeing what appears to be kind of a general store, uh, shops, and there's definitely an inn. Uh, and it's quieter than you would expect. You see a few people around, but there is definitely a feeling of tension as you come, you know, down the road to the village, and some people kind of look at you, and rather than greeting you or anything, do kind of like fall back into their houses. What do you do?
I have a xenopsychology focus,
Okay.
and I kind of want to see if I can discern: is this fear? Is this trying to be safe? Is this that the culture doesn't have a doesn't sort of interact with strangers very
Sure.
well, that kind of thing.
I think that's insight plus medicine, difficulty one for this gather knowledge.
Okay.
And your senior psychology definitely means that the fours or less are crits.
Okay, right. I gotta roll d20s. That never goes well.
So that is two successes. So I'm going to answer your question, and then you've got a momentum you can use to ask a follow-up question or put in the pool. Um, they are definitely dealing with something outside of their experience. This plague is not something they've seen before. It is not like it is like when the Black Plague first arrived and people hadn't seen those symptoms before, anything like that, that kind of level of panic, not knowing what the source is, what the process is, like they that is kind of the vibe that you are getting here. They're not normally this xenophobic, but right now they're panicked as they're confronted by the unknown. Does that sound like a fair answer?
Yes. Okay.
And your momentum?
Um, my burning question, you tell me if I need momentum for this, is do I see, is there someone sick who I see that I can approach?
If you want to spend that point on momentum, here's what I'll tell you is you don't see anyone outside. Uh, it does definitely has that feel of a quarantine thing. I think the thing that will surprise you is there are a number of shops that are closed, but the inn is open.
Okay.
To feel like, what do we see you doing?
We've got the cloaks and the things, the classic travelers, Star Trek cloaks along with our prosthetics, right? Um, I think he left his phaser rifle behind at the thing because he can't really carry that around, right?
Right.
Uh, Tvilic, is I think he as he sees the people, sort of hide into the houses and like stay away from us as they see us approaching. Just looks at Varric and mumble and like mutters. I think they've heard about your famous bedside manner, Dr. Varric. We should go get, Lieutenant Vate always says that when in doubt, head to the nearest watering hole. It's not in the manual, but a lot of the things that he does aren't. But they seem to work out.
I concur. Let us investigate the inn. I assume our universal translator lets us kind of read things.
That's
And
I
okay,
think that is what we the Star Trek magic establishes that that's the possibility. So
fantastic.
Just imagining how many episodes would be absolutely hamstrung by all
yes.
illiterate in the places that they went to.
Let's cut back to Ward and DeVal. Um, right now, what uh, he is trying to do uh, is figure out like what has happened, and he will tell you that we had two ships that uh, 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 were present. there was the original science vessel, the Letterberg, um, and that was the one that brought my team here. And then we were resupplied by the USS Parmitano. Um, and we had a landing party from that team. So I do have names that we can go over here.
Um, so Devel's gonna ask like, all right, how long were you stationed here, running through the thing? But most like, and why did you lose contact, Dr. Chang?
Uh, uh, there is that pause, and he will say, uh, "I was unfortunately engrossed in trying to see what I could solve here on the ground. I apologize. You're a person of science. You understand how that can be. Um, it wasn't until earlier today that I realized that I was overdue and that the transmission had not been sent. It is entirely my fault."
Okay. And do we know like was there a record of someone Starfleet sending messages or like, hey, what's checking?
Well,
Any of
what it
these?
is he his team was pulled out because of the rising Dominion conflict,
Hmm.
and the Parmitano came and picked up his team a few days ago, and then he was to wrap things up and signal for another ship to come. Um, and they did set like a timeline, like you need to have this wrapped up by, X amount of hours. And he didn't check in. And
Okay.
that's why you guys got dispatched there.
Okay. But it's not been like multiple days where people are trying to contact him and just no response.
No,
It's just
no.
gotcha. Okay, cool.
Um, Ward, uh, what do we see you doing here as this sort of sciencey conversation is going on?
Yeah, I think doing this contact tracing, like trying to figure out what normal medical issues that the science crew would have had. Maybe we can even do some on these two science ships that dropped them off and picked up the rest of the team. So really, I'm just looking for anything,
Yeah,
any place to
yeah,
start.
I think that's very much like a simple computer test on that side of things. So let's have you. I think this is difficulty one, and I think it is reason plus science or reason plus, yeah, reason plus science seems reasonable.
Yeah. Does investigation help with
Oh, I like
this?
that. Yeah, that's a focus.
Can
Okay.
I assist by like looking up the doctor's logs of
Yeah,
since they've been
absolutely.
here,
Yeah,
what samples they've taken that may have affected the area?
yeah. So you'll use the same thing with your 1d20. So let's have Ward roll first.
Mhm.
No. He's 16. It's
No.
definitely not a 16.
Okay. Now, after the fact, you do have the ability to spend a determination to re-roll.
Well, also, there's 5 rerolls available.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh
right.
yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot
So
the
your
expedition. Yeah,
expedition.
yeah.
Hey, I'm a good leader,
Thank you. So
Yeah,
let,
theoretically,
let
it's
hopefully.
let's use one of
it's
those.
it's one per roll, right? So
Yeah.
Uh,
So
yeah.
you can re-roll both dice for two.
It says reroll a single. Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
okay. So will I reroll both?
Yes, please.
Seem reasonable?
2 points. Re-roll both.
Hmm.
Okay, let's go first.
Yeah, got him.
Yeah. Look at that. So that's two successes.
Now
And
I roll.
Devel, let's have you roll a 1d20. And I think that is another success. So you've got two extra momentum, which you can throw in the pool. I'm going to give you the basic information here that you can find here. And I think we get that montage of you going over the logs, looking through. And you will find that a member of the Parmitano's landing crew the landing team that came down, apparently a couple of days after they were present here, they came down with Delcerian bronchitis afterwards. And that seems to be amongst the landing party, the people who were here and stuff, that seems to be, an illness that definitely has a possibility. And you will know that there is a thing called phelexinine, which is a medication for that bronchitis.
Okay.
Pretty easy to replicate. You just need a genetic sample to compare that against.
Um, so I guess I could bank those two momentum, or I'm wondering, Lowell, on a rules question,
Sure.
if I'm getting help from Dr. Devel, could she use her rapid hypothesis talent to kind of build on this?
Let's see.
Or is that only in kind of the character-led actions?
Uh,
Well, if
I
there's momentum in the pool, I can always spend the momentum to use
yeah,
to obtain information.
I
So
think we can hold on to that for
Okay.
follow up on that.
yeah,
I think that's a good
Let's
observation, though.
yeah,
yeah,
let's put two in the pool.
yeah.
Okay. We're going to cut back up to orbit at that point. Uh, Commander Vate, uh, now
Uh,
this is one of those cases where, again, probably secondary characters in various positions here. Assuming you want to go to combat. So, Commander Vate, what do you want to do first?
um, if we, how far along are we in that 20? I guess they've taken the database, right? They don't need us to stay in
Yep,
orbit
yep.
anymore.
You don't
All
need to
right.
be in orbit. The Dominion ship is still at long range. They have not picked you up yet.
Uh, Ensign Farga's kind of like our comms/sensors officer. I'd
Sure.
like
Okay.
uh, Ensign Farga to, I want a scan of the system. I want to find somewhere where we can shield the Kintsugi from the Dominion's long-range sensors.
Okay. Then
I
that
want to create, I want to use that to create a trait, basically.
I
That's,
think that's perfect. So who wants to play Farga? Who wants to take that one of our secondary characters? There'll be other potential secondary characters.
and Ensign Farga is heavily injured in the Battle of Wolf 359, has loads of augments, but really, to quote Paul from a podcast I listened to recently, is that she really wants people to see the human, not the augment. So she's quite vivacious. Like,
She's also very, very newly attached to Mr. Varric.
yes, yes. So
Uh, Someone want to take that?
Yeah, I'll take Fargo.
Okay. So Farga, this is going to be a reason plus science roll, aided by the ship.
assist.
Okay.
Uh, the ship is already assisting.
Okay, cool. No, I just wasn't. I
Yeah.
forget.
I don't see any focuses that apply. So I'll just roll. I'll roll two dice for her first, then I'll come back with the dice for
Okay.
the ship. So it's two successes straight off
Two
the bat.
successes. And then you can roll sensors plus science, 14 or less.
If only some of those had focuses applied. Another
Yeah.
four, so three successes.
So three successes. So let's use one for gather information, and then we can talk about a trait. How does that sound? Or if you want to use it for further
Yeah.
information. One of the things you will realize is that in the system, there is a planet a couple of bands up that had a collision with the moon. Essentially, the moon crashed into it, and that has created a essentially large-scale sweeping, moving, heavily ionized debris field. There's a cracked planet and a long trail of broken matter I think we've probably seen on the the ship in the background. We've probably seen that painted very beautifully as you were coming in. And that will definitely provide a potential blocker for Dominion sensors.
Okay. So Will, what's the trait we're looking for here? Something like just another asteroid or just
Yeah,
another piece
yeah,
of rubble.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, sensor debris, I guess,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll put that trait sensor debris on the table here.
Um, Vate is, is going to have this with the bridge crew, and a message that conveying this will go down to Dr. DeBell as well. That we're withdrawing from orbit to hide from the Dominion. If they don't know we're here, they may just fly right past. There's nothing about this rock that would be of interest about this planet that will be of interest to the Dominion, as far as I'm aware. They don't seem too interested in first contact while they're engaged with, but pre-industrial societies while they're engaged with the Federation at war. But the Prime Directive does allow us leeway to prevent the Dominion from seizing a undeveloped world. Uh, and so we will stand ready to guard the planet and the away team for as long as it takes for you to complete your mission and however long it takes to defend this planet from the Dominion. So we're drawing a line in the sand, basically, but hopefully drawing that line in the sand very quietly and then hiding. Yeah.
So who is on helm?
What's Tatassa's? Tatassa, I don't think is particularly good at con, is she? I haven't. Hang on, where's it? I got
I mean,
the Kintsugi one up.
she can be.
She can be, can't if we can rearrange all of these things, can't
I
we?
don't have her old character sheet, so I don't know.
Yeah, you can make it up as you want.
Could be
I'll copy
engineer.
her across to the thing, and obviously she can be made up. Happy. She was previously operations engineering officer.
Operations, and that's ship handling is
Otherwise,
operations.
All right.
otherwise,
So Tatassa will say, because we always see people taking the helm.
Exactly. Jordy
on
did
Star
it
Trek.
all the time.
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't say otherwise. It's Vade's probably going to take the helm because Vade's reasonably good pilot as well. But for this bit, why not? We have Tatassa do it. Sure, you fiddle around with those stats as
Yeah.
much as you want.
So development let you get that set as you want.
Where are they?
She's
So
on-
let's grab. I'll grab her picture. I can't.
Do I just make up some
Oh,
new stats?
put it down too far below, one row below. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'll just move her up one more row. Sorry, I
Okay.
was too far down when I copied and pasted. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I was looking for a photo. I was like, oh, duh, this is why.
It doesn't the photo doesn't copy and paste across, sadly.
Yeah. Let's see. We'll just switch security and con.
That makes sense.
Most pilot roles are control plus con and daring plus con.
Yeah. Otherwise, I think we'll just stick with the attributes as is.
Okay. So
Ever since she became Lieutenant Commander, Tatassa. It's been some time, right? She
yeah.
got a promotion?
Yeah.
Same rank as the captain.
Yeah.
No, you're a
commander.
commander.
My previous rank, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, why not?
Yeah.
So let's have you roll control plus con. And essentially you're trying to fly below the radar. Now, this is a tough task. We've got a Dominion ship out there that is scanning the area clearly. You're moving positions. I think the sensor debris will take it from a difficulty 3 down to a difficulty 2.
Okay.
Do you want to spend momentum?
I mean, you say we should always spend momentum, right? It's always mechanically incentivized.
Yeah, I think
Or
you should because I'm going to
threat.
actually spend a point from the threat pool to increase
Oh,
the difficulty up to 3.
Wow. Okay. Spending the momentum, I guess. So the pool should be down to 0?
Let's see. The pool was at 2, so it should be down to 1 right now.
Okay. I wasn't sure if somebody spent and obtained information or
And threat pool is at 8.
not. Okay.
I have to make sure I hide that on the ship and crew sheet because I
Nine. I don't think
always
the
better if it's
14
in one
makes it,
place.
but the 9 makes it. Right?
So you have one success,
Wait, what?
right? Or,
2 9s.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see the other 9. So you have 2 successes. So that you are
Okay.
one
Yeah.
short there on that. But don't forget that you are assisted by the ship.
Yeah. Oh, and that lets me roll another die or
That
something?
lets you roll another die, and the ship's comms plus con is a 12.
Okay.
And sorry, does this
No.
trait help out as well?
Yeah, I reduced the difficulty.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah.
then he raised it
And then I spent my threat.
like a PBTH. Nope.
So no.
Nope.
Okay. So
No, she's still
Um,
getting used to the con.
I can provide determination as a commanding officer. So I will spend my determination. You've got this, Tatassa. Come on, bring us in. What would Ward say? No, you know what?
Right,
Like
sir.
don't scratch the paintwork, Tatassa, or Ward will have you when she gets back on the ship.
so that's 2 dice you can possibly reroll.
Okay. So obviously the 14 and the 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
So tell me what that looks like. Like, what do we see
The paint's
with
not
the?
nearly as important as the engine, Commander. Or she's thinking like to wards. And she's like, yeah, okay, the command captain trusted me, has had faith in me. We've gone a ways now, so she's got this. She's been training under Ward. They've been like I guess teaching each other a little bit of engineering, a little bit of piloting.
And you will see the Dominion ship when we see it on screen flying in. You are cloaked in this ion debris field, and you will see the ship fly in, and it's clearly scanning the system, uh, checking things out, um, and then at standard impulse speed, not particularly in a hurry, it will uh, make for the only Class M planet in the system, uh, uh, Scorpia 5, Gamma Scorpia 5, and clearly hasn't detected you, but it is clearly heading towards the planet. You know that it will be almost impossible to pick up like Federation tech on the ground from orbit with the kind of scans that they have. But we're going to cut away from
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But obviously, unspoken, unseen on screen was the command to, go dark until you hear from us. Otherwise, don't be coming up to this into
Right.
space. Like, yeah.
Uh, let's take our first break and let's come back to Varric and Tvilic in the tavern, and we'll continue on. So let's take to the hour. So Varric, Tvilic, we will see you enter into this inn. There are tables there. Uh, clearly set up. I'm going to pause here. Clearly, this inn, would have multiple people in it. It has that kind of look of time of day. There are tables, chairs. Uh, it looks like a festive place, decorations, but it is otherwise emptied. And you would see that there are a couple that clearly have the look of the innkeeps at the uh, counter. And the woman will come forward and will say, are you travelers?"
Yes, we we're travelers. We're traveling through to the next onwards through your village. We were hoping to stop in for supplies.
Robossen, you heading that way?
Yes, we're Boston. Yes, no one's been this way for some time though. I've not heard of anyone. What's happened to your village? It seems everyone seems scared.
Uh, we welcome your commerce and your trade. However, we must encourage you to move on. There is an illness that has gripped our our town. And she looks back at her partner, who has kind of remained behind the counter, and she says, "It is it has come out of nowhere, and many have fallen to it, and many have died already. The village has moved to quarantine those affected. Um, uh, it, the castes at the top have made the rules, and we follow. We are but middle tier." Um,
I'm on my way to Rabasan to continue my healing, my studies in healing. Uh, as a healer, I would be interested in meeting with one of the people who has been affected by this illness to see if I can comfort them in any way.
And Tavelik leans forward and just says, with as much discretion as allowed by the tiers, of course. Like picking up on the fact that maybe this guy's not in the quarantine and he's, like
yeah.
in quarantine laws.
Let's have you make. I think this is an assisted action. Have one of you make the lead, essentially to kind of overcome their hesitancy here. It feels like Varric is taking the lead on this
Yeah,
role, and then Tavilic assisting.
yeah. And Varric has a lovely presence of 7. I get to see his bedside manner in action
Yes.
here.
Yeah. So presence plus medicine from Varric.
Fine.
Fine.
Does your focus of xenopsychology come into it at all?
I would hope so, which
Yeah, I
means
think that's appropriate.
Okay.
anything below a 4 is a crit, right?
Yeah. So looking at 11s with 4s as crits.
I got this. I'm great at these.
So that is 2 successes. Tavilic, would you like to assist?
Yes, I will roll a d20 with Tavilik's presence plus medicine.
Okay.
Uh,
And what is that total?
Sorry, I'm just always baffled by I've yet to get used to this dice room. Every time I click on something, I'm like, what am I looking at here?
I know it takes a little bit. I just like how pretty it is, I gotta admit.
There we go. 16.
So
Uh,
two
but my
successes.
no, my mine is in fact only a 10. So I
Yeah.
rolled a 16, I believe. So
Yep.
that's successes, yeah.
Yeah. So it does take a bit, but eventually the woman who will introduce herself as Alani will turn and gesture to Chev. She goes over to the doors and kind of shuts them and locks them. And Chev will, he's kind of stood a little bit at an angle to you, but he will kind of come up, and out of his sleeve, he will lift up, and you will see this chalk white arm. And it it looks like stone. Um, he says, I apologize for any deception, but there are some of those who feel that this is a divine punishment. And you see clearly he cannot actually move his hand. It is calcified enough that like he's lost momentum and sensation in it. He has to take his other hand, to lift up on the elbow there, and he'll present it for you, Varric.
Varric says, we've heard the rumor that this is divine punishment, but Chev, what do you think it is?
I I don't know. Uh, uh, I It affects everyone, the good, the bad. Unless something truly heinous has been done to curse the village, I can't imagine why the gods would allow this.
Well, let us take a look. I want to use a tricorder, but I know that that would not be.
Do you want to try and do it surreptitiously? That's
I'm
reason
wondering.
plus security.
I'm wondering
I,
what I
at
could.
Tvelik, you would know, is a has this focus of tricorder operations and has fairly high security and could perhaps be doing this while you're,
Oh, good.
like you're talking, you're whatever, right? And Tvelik's like cloak sort of like, like underneath the cloak or underneath the table or something.
Yeah, I think I turn to you and mouth the words tricorder and give you kind of a Vulcan eyebrow. And then I continue talking, and I kind of want to. I don't know how to do this in character, but Varric has this theory that there's a mind over matter aspect to healing, and so he sort of is talking his patient through this idea that he also needs to sort of mentally overcome the physical malady,
Okay.
which is just, I think, just enough weirdness that may provide a sufficient distraction.
Yeah, I like it. I like that as an assist. Tvilic, your goal is to get the information, the sampling that you
Mhm.
need for this. So reason plus security, and then difficulty two,
Mhm.
and then Varric may roll an assist.
Okay, so we'd have 3 die effectively for a difficulty 2. I'm going to spend a one from the momentum pool
Okay.
and that'll take me up to 3 die to begin with, right? And
Yep.
then we'll assist.
With your focus in tricorders.
That is 2 successes.
Yes.
What is it that you need to roll in to get a crit with the focus?
What is your security?
I believe his security is only a 4. Dang
So,
it.
yeah,
No, no crit, no crit,
no
sadly.
You
crits.
can re-roll the 19 with the expedition die pool.
Yeah. Go to,
Oh, yeah, why not? I forget, because
That's
that's,
what it's there for.
yep.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
three successes right
Oh,
now. And Varric, let's have you roll. I think yours is presence plus medicine.
Yeah, I probably should have kicked that presence up, huh? All right, here we go.
Well, I'm going to ignore the 20 because you just need to roll one d20.
Thank you. Still.
Yep.
so we've met the difficulty of 2 and 1 extra success, right?
One extra success, but Varric, you may re-roll, maybe re-roll just a single die
Oh, okay.
because your assist is just a single die.
Okay,
Aye.
I do have 2 dice there. A 20.
I know, and I'm ignoring that. It's a misroll. That's my general thing. A
Damn
misroll would
you.
clear it.
Oh, there we go.
7. Okay. So you get 2 extra momentum. And I think that like your goal here is to get the genetic data
Right.
and do this. And I think that there is a moment there when you're talking to him, Varric, talking about mind over matter and so on, and Vate, you're keeping the data. He will actually cry out in pain, and you will literally see that chalk line on him extend about a centimeter. And he will just go, I have to sit. I have to sit. Do you know what this is? Do you know what this is?
We have seen something very similar
You have.
in our village.
You must speak to the elders. You must tell them.
I, I, um, I think it is really important that we make haste back to our village where we can cultivate a cure. And upon our return,
But you have a cure at your village?
it is quite possible that once I consider this, that and
What
consult with
what
my colleague here.
what you must forgive my traveling companion. We this is what he means to say is that we can leave the village and forage for certain plants and herbs that may be of use in slowing this.
Isn't
Uh,
that
but
what I
we
said?
must but we must go fast. And I fear that the higher tiers may slow this uh, as he looks daggers over a barrack for saying we have a cure our village, and he's like, the next village is like 3 days travel from here on foot.
I don't think we need a roll for this. I think that they're uncertain what to make of you two, but you got those extra successes, and I think they will say, well, I hope they say this with the sense that they will understand if you don't return, like in that way that that maybe what you've said is is an untruth to get yourselves out of here. And she will say, I hope that you are able to find what you need to cure us.
Yeah. So that roll that we did that gave us
Eh,
the genetic sample.
you've got the information you need.
Got the information we need for the genetic sample.
Yep.
With tricorder readings, can I spend a point of momentum for an obtain information?
Sure. What's your question?
Did scanning with the victim with the tricorder have any effect on like it was some sort of
Ah,
between their biology and the tricorder?
that's a
Any
good question. No, it did not.
cool. Okay,
There doesn't seem to be any symptomatic reaction there.
cool. I will lower the momentum pool back down to 2 then. But yes.
I think we'll see you two. She unlocks the door. You two will go outside, and I think just to put like the capper on the scene, you will see from a house next door. Uh, they are there is a equivalent of a primitive stretcher, and they are bringing out someone from there, and you can see that they are almost totally calcified. There's a kind of a groaning pain from them, and you can see that they are taking them out of the house and heading elsewhere in the village. Um, and clearly the situation is fairly dire. Uh, Astrid, Devel, uh, you two are back at the shuttlecraft there. Um, and what I'm going to do is we're actually going to do I want to do a little bit of a talk between the two of you. And then I want to bring Varric and Tavilik on scene to pass the genetic sample on before I cut back to the ship, okay?
Mhm.
Um, so this is as you're kind of waiting and watching, and you have some time while you're waiting for Varric and Develop to come back. Uh, to sorry, not Tadassa. I apologize. Devel and Ward. Like, what is the interaction between the two of you? Like, what's the dynamic there? Ward, what do you think of Devel? Relatively new to the ship, science officer. Um, what do you think? This is
Yeah,
probably the first away mission that you have done with Devel.
I kind of imagine that I expected her to be like more like Tatassa, right? But in fact, they seem nothing alike. They don't have the same, I guess. general behaviors, and I think we had very limited interactions with Orions in general. So I'm just like, uh, classic, not all Orions are the same. Who knows what's the more usual? Um,
Not all pirates.
so I think I'm trying to figure out Devel as a
Okay.
person, right? But I think in terms of the job, I'm viewing myself as completely subordinate because this is not my area of
Okay.
expertise. I am uh, maybe throwing out some ideas, but ones that maybe Devel discounts without too much thought because, that's a silly idea, or that would never work, or
What
whatever.
what is your reaction to that kind of input, Devel?
No, I think she's generally receptive because like she's trying to not let on that she's kind of like, like the one value. She's acting confident even if she's not confident. Like she's like, no, no. If I display any nervousness, this could affect everyone. This could go horribly wrong. But yeah, it's like, no, that's a good idea. I mean, focus this like, you've got engineering skills, so like maybe we can like, work on like help get some of these machines back up and, some of the equipment back up and running to take more, do more scans. Um, this seems to be like a sort of like a pandemic of some sort, but we just need to cross-reference with the genetic material and just,
Yeah,
um,
maybe we can start the process of programming
yeah. And
um,
like maybe
the
there was
replicator.
samples they took that disturbed the ecosystem.
And I think we will see then the perimeter alert will go, and we will see
Do the thing.
Varric and Tavilik come back. And Chang kind of jumps up, and he's waiting to hear. Uh, is it bad?
Tavilik, that sounds like well, Doc, you're the medical expert. What do you think? As he shakes his head, looking pretty glum.
It's pretty bad. I don't know what kind of operation you were running here, Doc, but the contamination is widespread and it is proving to be quite painful and quite deadly for the local population. And frankly, I don't want anyone to lecture me anymore about any kind of prime directive after what I've seen here.
The time for recriminations is later, Mr. Varick. We have to do what we can to help these people now.
Let's
Um, uh,
let's we have the genetic information.
Let's
Mr. Vark, we have some details on who is our prime candidate for patient zero, a member of the starship who had this strange form of bronchitis that I don't know how to pronounce. Um,
Uh, and we'll see you bring the medical tricorder over. Uh, uh, Dr. Chang and Devel will pull up the notes on the uh, uh, the syndrome and pull the Delsarian bronchitis, and we'll pull up the phenexylene, and essentially we'll run this through the model, and no, it has no effect on it. I'm going to cut back to the ship, and I'm going to also send you, Devel, a voiceover for when we come back to you. Okay. So let me get this. This is after the commercial when we come back to you. This is the voiceover. Um, so Commander Vate, you will see this Dominion ship. It has gone into orbit around Gamma Scorpia 5.
Yeah. Fargo, passive sensors only. Don't tip them off that we're here, but I want to know as much as possible about what they're doing down there. Are they beaming anyone down?
All right. Varga, that is definitely reason plus science,
Okay.
and aided by the ship's sensors. This
Okay.
is
Well,
difficulty 3 because you don't want to alert them.
yeah. I mean, I think there's a slight umbrage when you say passive sensors only. Like she would have made that mistake, not her first rodeo. Um, uh, so yeah, let's roll those two dice first and see.
That's
It's
2
pretty good.
successes.
And let me re-roll one for the, or roll one additional for the ship.
Yeah.
No, ship is not helping.
Okay. So I think that you will do the passive sensor sweep, but there is an interaction with the ionizing radiation in the debris. And I think what you get is unfortunately a resonance ping. And you can tell that the Dominion ship has picked up something. And not the ship entirely, but they've picked up something sensor wise coming from this debris field because they have kind of stopped and they've turned and now they're doing their sweeps across the debris field. However, what you have detected is that Dominion ship is heavily battle damaged.
This is one of the ships that probably took out the convoy that we were doing search and rescue on.
Yeah. One of the things you know is that the Jem'Hadar, you know, uh, they have been running essentially far runners, the groups of Dominion attack ships that are out here kind of on their own, doing raids, relatively unsupplied, uh, uh, doing these kinds of attacks. And it explains why there isn't another ship with it. There ought to be a pair.
Mm.
But it is turning and coming about and moving carefully towards the debris field.
So I think Fargo will say to the commander, Commander, do you want the good news first or the bad news?
Uh, Give me the good news.
This Jem'Hadar attack vessel does seem to be battle damaged.
The same one that took out the scrolls back up in his notes to check the names of the ship. They were doubting the Persuasion, perhaps.
That'd be my guess.
And the bad news?
Well, they've noticed us. I think we had an unforeseen interaction with the debris field.
Mm. Vate is faced with a dilemma, right? Because we are at war with the Dominion. This is an easy target. Right now is the best chance for us to take them at long range. If we stand out and war and demand that they leave, then they might attack us anyways, and we lose that advantage. And it's whether
Yeah.
or not to go to war or to do the normal Starfleet thing, which would be to say, no one needs to die here today. You just need to leave. Um, what do I have? Do I have any values that my all life has a reason of its own? Nothing is more important than saving
Lives.
currently. I have no reason to believe that the Dominion would cause harm to the planet or its people. So killing them doesn't seem to be. But then there's all the lives that they would kill anyways. How about if I throw away that trait of sensor debris to come forward, to hail them, and it, you know, confront them basically. Would I then get a determination back for
Yeah,
putting?
I think absolutely.
Because I think I need to know what I can't kill them without knowing what the reason is there. If I had any intel on that, I would.
Let me ask you this. Are you doing anything before you contact them? Like, you know, there anything to make your play stronger?
Oh well, we're going to lock on to them with our long range photon torpedoes because that's where we have. So if when we come out of this debris field, it's going to be arms up, locked on, ready to go.
Okay.
Now I would like, I'd like to settle our bridge crew
Yeah.
here before we enter the battle. So Vate's a fairly decent pilot. To task want to go over to weapons control, or we could introduce a new helmsman for Dan to play, or a new
Tactical officer.
we need a tactical, basically. Command is ironically probably the one that you can do the most without, right? Because like the other ones perform certain functions.
What do you think, Dan? Would you like to make up a tactical person?
I would love to do that.
Okay. Uh, then let's have you in that blue one next to Tassa. Um, Tell us about like what species are we making for our tactical person?
They don't get any of
Uh,
the like talents or anything supporting characters, so it's a simpler option. But it's mostly an aesthetic option, really.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, does anyone have any species they would like to see that they have not seen yet?
Worf's still really the only Klingon in stuff. There's very few, if there's are any, they're very, very few. We've got Andorians. I mean, I really like what was Lital's Tellarites, just because Alan played such a horribly gruff and
It's
rude.
horrible.
But then that'd be Dan playing one gruff and rude person with another gruff and rude.
There's the Trill, there's Bajorans. Um,
Oh, I like a Bajoran.
yeah,
Yeah, nice. Love a Bajoran.
yeah.
She got some noses.
So male, female, what do you think?
Let's do male.
Okay.
I need a bit. Oh, thank you.
The Bajoran name generator, of course, yes.
He's on top of that.
And then you get to set those attributes and control, daring, and fitness are probably the primes for that. And then security and con.
Tactical, like, let me just see. Come on. Tactical largely does daring plus security, control plus security, and attack is on a completely different page, tactical operations, which is great. Thank you. Control plus security, yeah, control
Yeah.
plus security, daring plus security, the two main tactical values.
I get a
Uh,
4, 2 twos. I'm sorry, a 4, a 3, 2 twos, and 2 ones, right?
Yes.
Believe
Yes.
so, yes.
And so uh, let's say you think Ensign Jerez or Lieutenant Junior? What do you want, Dan?
I like ensign.
Okay, so Ensign Jerez,
Playing
this
the
is a
newbies.
first time you're on tactical there. Normally Tavalic would be on tactical, but you happen to be at this duty station at this point. And what does the tactical station look like? Are they seated at the side? Are they in the con behind the captain? What do you want for our tactical?
I think this is like a ship that's been sort of assembled from scrap and parts.
Yes, it's a little patched together.
Yeah. Um, I like that it's behind the captain, but um, he sometimes needs to like turn. Like there's sort of a panel behind him as well as the panel in front of him.
Okay. Okay, I like that. And what does it look like when, to do the calibration on the photon torpedoes to get them set and fine-tuned for this kind of thing? What do you think that looks like? Are you having to call down to engineering? Are you just hitting buttons? What do we think?
Um, yes, I like the idea of because it's like two different systems sort of talking to each other, so I definitely need to coordinate with my counterpart in engineering, also an ensign,
Yep,
maybe also first time in battle too. We are sweating.
absolutely. A little panicking, getting those tuned. Vate. What is your attitude interaction with this ensign who's a little out of their depth?
Ensign Jurors get a weapons lock on their warp core. We get in this quick and fast. I know this is your first time in a combat situation, but you trained for this.
Weapons lock, weapons lock. I can weapons lock. I got that. I got that. We're
Uh,
still, Captain. I'm sorry. We're still. I apologize. We are still getting the photon torpedoes calibrated with the new launchers, but it's. I'm told it's all. They're almost done.
Jurors, that's what every captain likes to hear just before they go into battle against a Jem'Hadar attack ship. But remember, this is the ship. This is one of the ships that likely destroyed two Starfleet vessels already.
Photon torpedoes are ready. Okay, they're ready, and we have the weapons lock.
Commander Vate. So,
Open up a channel to the as we
okay.
you know.
So kind
I
of just make your appearance known, weapons lock on. It's that, the Dominion ship stops as soon as the weapons lock comes on. They already had shields up.
Yeah,
Um, so I think this is a difficulty for negotiation.
sounds about right. Hailing Dominion ship. This is the USS Kintsugi. We dem we demand that you leave this area immediately and return to your own lines. We will be leaving ourselves shortly. There is no reason for us to have to fight today. There is always tomorrow.
Right. So presence plus command.
Mhm. So that is presence plus command. I have a 13 overall. Um,
Mediation.
Mediation would come into it perhaps because I'm
Yep.
trying to neutral level of thingy. I would also um,
So difficulty 4 goes down by 1 because of the sensor thing. That's a trait that we already put on the thing. They're kind of surprising them coming out of that. So we're difficulty 3.
I will buy a point of momentum. I mean, I'll spend a point of momentum to take it down. So that's 3 dice. Do I roll with the ship die at all?
I don't think the ship die. Well, actually, wait. No, because you specifically set it up that you've got the weapons lock. I will let you roll with essentially comms plus security for the ship's die.
Nice. Okay, then. Well, I will roll my 3 die, and then I will roll the ship's die. Oof, that's a crit failure.
Okay.
20,
So we've
16,
got
one
one
success.
one success right now.
I will spend that point of determination that I just acquired
Yeah.
for coming out of hiding to re-roll. Do I just re-roll the 2 failures?
Well, why don't you roll the ship die as well? Because you
Okay.
can re-roll afterwards any fails.
That's a 13. The ship's die
Com,
for
com plus
con.
security is an 11.
Yes, that's 3 failures, isn't
Okay.
it?
So re-rolls your 2 dice and then the ship's die.
Okay. I'll just reroll it all from scratch.
Okay,
I've not yet worked out the the
sure.
added eye to it rather than clear it once you roll. Well, that didn't work. Go away.
So that
That's
is four successes.
yes, because that's a crit, isn't it? The
Yeah,
yeah, and in fact, my is that two crits?
I think it's two crits if that other die is on your focus. I think so. It's five.
Five, yeah.
So there is, the Jem'Hadar has weapons lock on you. They are holding in place. They are sitting there. There is that standoff.
We have a saying in our culture, you know, meeting your maker. I understand that you could do that two ways today. You have you have insert Starfleet non-specific. You know what? You have
Right.
15 minutes to comply, Jem'Hadar vessel.
And I think they sit there and they hold, and I think they hold until the end of that 15-minute period, and then they will go to warp and they will jump out of the system.
Yeah. Uh, Jerez, uh, no, not Jerez, Tatassa, bring the ship back into a close orbit. I want to be ready for as soon as the away team is finished.
Yes, sir.
Right.
And I just go and I nod over at Jerez. Good work, Jerez.
Let's cut to, we've taken a commercial break after that jump, and we cut back to the planet. Uh, Chang is still going over the data. He's looking at the material that Varric brought. I mean, I think we see that kind of a little bit of a chaotic analysis. And Dr. DeVell.
Science officer's log. Our avenues of inquiry linking Dr. Liu's research to the chalk have been seemingly expended. We now find ourselves torn between our duty to provide humanitarian aid to those needing it and our adherence to General Order 1, the latter of which states our intervention must end.
And I think that's when DeVell, you hear Commander Vate come over the comms. Vate, what do you say?
Jem'Hadar ship has departed orbit, but they know we're here now. They're heavily battle damaged, but Starfleet intelligence tells me that other Dominion ships are within the sector. We bought some time, but they may be coming back with friends. Tell me you've got an answer down there, Dr. DeBell.
I wish that I could, Captain. We have yet to prove any link between our activities on this planet and the new pandemic that seems to be affecting the local village. There's still a few avenues of research, but our primary suspicions have been proven wrong.
Do you need any extra resources from the ship? In my view, threat of the Dominion, the potential for us to have caused harm to this planet. I'll happily go up in front of a board of review to justify bending the Prime Directive here. But if you need a shuttle, if anything can provide you with extra assistance, it's on hand. I don't want to be sat here when multiple Jem'Hadar ships come in.
Thank you, sir. And I'd like to do some obtain information, if I
Okay.
can.
Yeah.
I'm going to spend a momentum to ask. We've got genetic
Yeah.
samples before, right? Like they were able to get some genetic samples subtly before the
Yeah.
chalk thing. So yeah, I want to like compare and contrast to see what has changed in their biology.
So this is to like there is at this point a what we call a group task, kind of
Okay.
to demonstrate that system, the sort of the process. We kind of broke it down into three tasks.
Hmm.
that we're going to work through. And now you have the assistance from the ship,
Hmm.
so you can use the ship's die to assist you on this. But essentially, you've got one task, and then the second one, and then the third one kind of built. This is to demonstrate the rules. It's kind of a little bit of hard framing here from the game. Um, and what you can do is, uh, each person can lead a different task. Uh, you can assist on another person's task, but if you do that, then the difficulty of your task is increased by one. So you kind of have to declare. And basically, it's that you've got the previous genetic data, you've got this new information. What you want to do is first, we're going to run it against known illnesses and see if we can narrow the pool. We're then going to take whatever pool we get, try to narrow those results, and then match the results. So there's kind of a three-stage set of tasks here.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Varric, what I do want to cut here because what is your reaction to that conversation from Vate? Were you expecting that they would just go with this prime directive? Are you surprised? Are you pleased? Is it just logical?
Um, I guess to the extent that Vulcan experiences surprise, he did, and I think he's just glad he doesn't have to argue this point immediately, but he's keeping an inventory of all of the arguments that he will eventually have to make because he's not optimistic about them finding a cure. I mean, he hasn't been in a lot of Star Trek episodes, so he doesn't
Right.
realize that they
Doesn't realize that
resolve
they
it by
will.
the end.
Uh,
So,
I don't think that uh, uh, is a momentum spend unless you would like to consider that a momentum spend to develop to get yourself a trait on the situation.
Uh, so I have to do two obtain information questions. So like that's why I was
Yeah.
trying to think of a
Yeah,
second question
no.
to follow up with that.
Basically, what you're walking into is we've got kind of a hard frame thing. But I would like, I mean, I would like to certainly, if you want to spend, so that you're not kind of short shrift on that. If you want to spend one momentum, we can establish a trait
Okay.
on the workroom. So, what do you want to call that trait that you're creating here
Hmm.
in?
Something related to like gathered the information, like focused research.
Okay, so
And her thinking it's not like she's thinking like, well, this is clearly a new disease. So unique to this culture. So
so here's what we're going to do. We've got a control plus science task. That's followed by a reason plus medicine task, and then another control plus science task. So we've got sort of a three-step thing. We've got four characters on screen. You can use the ship's assist die, and if I assume it's going to be Astrid, that's kind of the free person to lend their assist uh, to the tasks, to a task of your
Uh,
choice.
the only thing I was thinking was that I've got determination to burn, right? I've got two, so I may as well spend that to get two successes wherever I am.
Okay, absolutely, yeah. Um, well, uh, so which one do you want to assist with? The first task, and I'll tell you here, it's control plus science, difficulty two, then reason plus medicine, difficulty two, and then control plus science, difficulty three.
Guess do I help on the final one?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that does make if we go with the logical sense here. So let's start. Develop. We want to start with you at the top,
yeah, sure.
or okay?
Yeah, because
So
she's like doing the comparing all the notes of what was taken, running down the expedition log of what they've sampled, what samples have been taken. It's just like running down all the steps before they first noticed this.
Absolutely. So, control plus science, difficulty 2. Let's start with you.
Okay. Yeah, none of my
Yeah.
focuses apply.
We'll use the focused research on this because it's a science thing. So I think this trade is
Oh,
going to apply to this one. So it's going to be difficulty 1.
okay. Right. So 2d20. And I spent that momentum, so the pool's empty, right?
I think so.
Then do I wanna give you a threat? Right? Because I gave you a threat for a die.
You can, yeah.
Uh, yeah, I'll give you a threat. And I'll spend a determination.
Okay. So 2 successes right out of the
Then
gate.
in that case, if I'm spending a determination, I'm not going to give you a threat.
Yeah, I was
So
going to say that
yeah.
that checks out. So 2 successes. What value are you engaging with
Oh, right.
to get that determination off? What does that
Um,
look like?
I think good leaders get their hands dirty.
Okay.
Like she's getting like in going to the places where they said they collected samples, trying to see like, all right, does this connect with? She's like studying like the terrain and like, hey, does this plant lead to a red water that they leads to the well water or something? Is there what happened?
So let's have you make that reason plus, sorry, control plus science roll.
2 successes.
2 successes. So right now you've got 4
4
successes
successes. Yeah,
on a difficulty 1. So you can throw 3 momentum into the pool if you want.
which I will do. Yeah.
Okay. And I think what it is we'll see you like you going through, we see you doing the Star Trek, going over the database. We get that montage. You've gone out and checked the
Cut
area
to
and
the science labs
yeah,
and
we'll see a list, okay, of course, if we do on Star Trek, we got like 200 illnesses that we've got the pool narrowed down to. And then Varric, you're given this information. And this is a reason plus medicine task with a difficulty of 2.
Sorry, I was looking at talents. You were talking to me. I'm just looking at.
Reason plus medicine task, difficulty 2.
Okay, got it. Reason plus medicine, that's a 15 for me. I don't think
Okay,
I'm going to spend anything extra.
sure. And you've got you're essentially using the ship systems, the medical tricorder, so you can use your focus for this.
Okay. But I don't roll an extra die.
Nope. Well, actually, you will roll the ship's die, yes.
Okay. I believe that's 1 critical success.
That is 3 successes, and then roll the ship's die. Computers plus medicine is a 12. So right now, you've got 3 successes. So you can put 1 into the momentum pool. And like I think we see you working through the list, and you're taking out and kind of working to what diseases cause particular kinds of cellular change and petrification and anything like that. I think we see the list getting shorter and shorter as you're eliminating things off of that until you've got that like list of 5 and taking those and trying to cross compare against all the variables that you have right now. And Tavilic, I think that's you with the assist from Ward.
Mhm.
Ward, you're spending your determination.
Yeah, I'll
What
spend a determination.
and what is the value that you're engaging there?
I mean, I think its trust must be earned, vis-a-vis Vate's kind of, I won't call it a speech, but his declaration that we're going to do this, and kind of worlds apart from, the whole Haskell incident of let's just do it and brush it under the carpet, right? I'll go to the review board and, you know,
Yeah.
so This is like a, I don't know, like a, this is how you bend the rules in Starfleet, right?
Absolutely.
Say sorry afterwards.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we come back to Tvilic. We've got a determination spent
Okay.
there, so that gives you two automatic successes. You've
Okay.
got momentum in the pool. I am spending three of my threat to make that difficulty five on the task.
Oh, Jesus. All right. We didn't make any traits that got focus research trait.
You can use that for this because, again, this is the science side of things. So difficulty four.
Yeah, and Tvilic has the focus of xenobiology. Uh,
Okay.
so that comes into play, and
Yep.
this is a control
This
a
is control plus science.
control. So that's 14 that I need to hit.
Yep. Are you spending any momentum?
How much we got in the pool?
Or you could spend three of it and get two more dice.
So how many dice am I on at the moment? I'm on
You got two successes and you need four.
four. So I got two dice. I got an assist. Is that right, or is that
Yep.
just so I'm on three dice total?
Yep.
Spent roll this time, right? If I spend momentum, that's
Five dice.
five dice. Yeah, I'll spend momentum.
There's almost no chance you could fail at that point.
Oh, yeah.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
So, should I add in five dice? Is that right?
Yep.
Saying that with that grin.
So that looks like one, two, three, four, five successes if I'm counting right. Oh, actually, six successes.
Six successes, yes.
Uh, so this is all the ward developed. You're taking the information that Varric has done the medical analysis on. You've broken down this, and what you will realize is while none of the people here were stricken by any of the sort of group of five diseases that you've got, you will realize that there's a Dr. Sharif who came down and interacted with the uh, uh, local population in disguise. And he has a genetic predisposition to something called anarxari necrosis. It's a neurological condition. And that essentially, that sort of latent thing seems to have mixed with the local biosphere. Um, this can be treated. There is a aerosol medication called Wisexin 5C, um, and that can be synthesized. And with the eight successes that you got there, um, uh, tell me, Varric, what is the method of distribution? Is it you kind of going through the village? Is it a drone? Is it something else? Like, how are you getting this out to people?
We just need to disperse the aerosol in the air. I like a camouflaged drone.
Okay. Gives Ward a chance to do some. We get the montage, Ward, of you doing the drone piloting there.
Also,
Uh,
repurposing the drone to disperse the medication. I
yeah.
like
And I think we will see that thing, and of course, in perfect Star Trek form. I think as soon as the aerosol hits them, we will see that calcification immediately begin to reverse. And of course, we see the innkeeper walks out into this kind of light rain, and we see his hand becoming whole again as uh, the village is cleared of this disease. State of the art CG, yes, absolutely. Um, and I think we're going to move to onboard scenes. That scenes that the problem has been solved, the Dominion ship has been dealt with, this cure has been given out, distributed. So we're going to do a check-in with everybody. Commander, do you want to start or do you want to go last on this little bit here for this?
I think it'd be good to go last because I think that perhaps like the natural one for me to do would be the captain's log of the mission, you know.
Okay. Let's take 5 for a quick break, quick bio. We'll come back and we'll do that check-in around and give us a chance to a little bottle and character interactions and such. So, Dr. DeVell, let's start with you. I want to give you a chance to call a scene with an NPC or PC or something that you want to see on the ship, kind of. And this is again, like they do early on. These are the chances for us to get to know who these crew members are.
Right. If Donna's okay with it, I'd love to have like a scene in the graveyard. What's the official name of the graveyard? Because I think Devel doesn't get the whole graveyard thing. Mm.
Maybe like, the think of a really like formal way of saying like the bar, basically, the designated recreational unit or something like
Yeah.
that.
Because I know like graveyard's informal, so it's
Right.
probably not written outside. Whatever the 10 forward, but
Yeah,
It's
it
not.
it's like the officer's mess or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
Okay. But yeah, like if I would love a scene in the graveyard with you, if
Sure, yeah.
you don't mind. Like you're already sitting, and I come and is this seat taken? And she's carrying like a cup of freshly brewed, and this is not replicated. You can smell that this is like fresh coffee from actual beans that she grows, and
Okay.
because hydro.
Yeah, not taken. I'm just decompressing.
I can
Uh,
understand. That was difficult. There's no way to put it about it, but we managed to do our duty. We saved everyone, and you were so valuable, Lieutenant. Um, Glad that you were able to join us on the away mission because you helped me in more ways than you probably realize.
yeah, I was gonna say it felt like I was getting coffee from the replicator a bit, but no, no. I think we worked all right as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a thing that like the audiences and probably Ward recognizes, like when she was on the away mission, she's like just very plain looking, but like she's got her makeup done. She's very glamorous looking when on the ship because like she doesn't want to risk cross contamination on planets. But it's just like she takes pride in her fashion, which I assume is very different than Latassa.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but I think the speaking of coffee, what is that you have?
Oh, this is do you want to sip? These are beans that have been cultivating. They're from Bajor originally, but I've got a little plant in my quarters.
Yeah, and I think Ward like doesn't take a sip, but like just smells in the
is
this
Bajoran
fragrance.
coffee. Is it have a flavored scent to it? Is it strong, dark coffee, or is it more tea-like? What
I
what
think
what
it's
is
more flavored like.
okay?
Uh, I say I don't think I've actually ever actually tasted real coffee. You know, I've like spent my entire life on a starbase or on a Starfleet vessel. Is that
Oh,
what real coffee, the replicators really need to
well,
get
yes. I
updated?
mean, that's well, the replicators exist to provide us with the protein that and nutrients that we need. But hydroponics is wonderful for actual growing of fresh fruits and vegetables. Not technically
Okay.
coffee, but this is my personal quarters plant. This is something I take care of on my own.
So yeah,
Feel free
what do you
to.
think of our doctor? I
Mr.
think
Varric is well, I don't think he and I will get along. He seems very dismissive and a lot of values that I hold dear, at least Starfleet's values. But he's dedicated, so that's the important part. A bit snobbish, but I think that's most Vulcans, right?
Well, let's not jump to hasty conclusions on the traits of species.
That's
I've
fair.
already
That's
learned that lesson.
yeah, and she would really blush like, oh yeah, I should know better.
Nice.
But yeah, I thought him and Vate were going to get into some kind of argument there for a hot minute.
Thankfully, that didn't come to pass.
Yeah. Sorry, not that Captain Carlton was not a good captain, but I'm glad we have another one. We've we've worked with some interesting captains before, and
Um, yeah, I did some reading about, was it Hausen? Haskin?
Haskell. Yeah,
Haskell.
I
That's
am. I'm glad he is out of Starfleet, or shortly on his way out.
that's good. So, if you don't mind me asking, what do you get up to in your spare time? Like, have you ever, I've got this, been working on this surfing holodeck program if you ever wanted to, work out or whatever.
Yeah, I do some ice skating.
Ice skating. I've never,
Yeah,
we don't have that on Delta 4. It's
yeah, yeah.
not,
It's
it's not really cold enough.
yeah. My at least one of my parents was from you know ice icy area on Earth, and yeah, we kind of picked up ice skating as our family pastime on Starbase. Um, Run some simulations on the ships that make up the Kintsugi, which is a bit of a nerd thing to do, I guess. And poker. There's a poker night Friday nights.
Oh, I don't think I've ever actually played.
Well, then you should definitely join us.
Oh, okay.
Does that feel like an okay note to cut on
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
I think that's a
You
good
should
good.
definitely join it. Okay, sure.
Mr. Varick, I want to give you a chance to call a scene with NPC with the PC.
I was wondering if Ensign Farga was likely to approach Varric
Absolutely.
to see how he did on his first away mission.
I think there is that you've just kind of gotten back to the medical bay. You've got the other doctors there that ears that it's not that they're cliquish, but they all went to the Starfleet Medical Academy together, the nurses and things like that. And so there is that bit of you like not being part of that. And then Ensign Farga comes in and uh, Mr. Varick.
Ensign Farga, is it?
Yes.
What can I do for you?
Uh, well, I was off my duty shift, and I thought I would come down and see how your how things went on planet.
Uh, Things appear to go just fine. We cured the population of a deadly disease. I can't imagine a better outcome.
Oh, good. I know. I imagine. Um, I don't know what your experience is with doing uh, uh, field work like that.
I have I've had several rotations on remote planets, but that was my first encounter with a pre-warp civilization, and I can see the appeal.
To a pre-warp civilization or to doing away team missions.
Yes, both of those things.
Well, good. I hope that everyone worked well with you.
Are you feeling okay, Ensign? And he starts to pull out a medical tricorder to
Oh,
examine her implants.
well, I just I was hoping perhaps we could talk again.
Um, is there something in particular you would like to discuss?
Uh, I've been having this nightmare.
Tell me more.
There was a friend of mine, more a friend of Astra's probably, but a friend of mine uh, who was on the ship, and she she got contaminated by a Borg implant, different than what happened to me, but there was um, and on a later mission, she got integrated into a ship, into a vessel. Uh, um, and she wanted to. I mean, it was to save people, and but sometimes when I close my eyes, I go into sleep mode. Um, there's a brief moment, this nightmare, where I imagine myself being strapped down to a ship and made to pilot it, and made made to do terrible things.
That sounds horrendous. None of us ever want to be in a position where we are made to do things that we don't want to do.
I don't know what the dream means. I don't know if it's stress or worry or grief or so on, but I mean, we don't have a ship's counselor.
It is true. It is one of many shortcomings that I have reported to the captain about. However, if you would be open to it, my area of specialization is psychology, and perhaps we could meet on a regular basis to
Yes, please.
to discuss these dreams and other difficulties you may be having with your life and with your implants.
That would be that would be excellent. I would really appreciate that.
I will have the computer set up a regular meeting time for us.
And
And in the meantime, I need
yes,
to talk to the captain about finding a more private place for us to have these difficult conversations. Based on what I saw today, although the crew was exemplary, I imagine many people will want to make use of my services.
oh, okay, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'd be glad. Yeah, yes. And Fargo will stand up.
Was there anything else?
Uh, no, no. Thank you so much. And I think as you're watching, there's a brief moment, Varric, as there's a weird artifact for you for a second, because she's kind of standing by one of those scanning beds, and there's a brief moment where you see her reflection in that
Mm,
scanning bed, and for a second, it looked like there was somebody else there.
nice.
This figure with white hair, some sort of no, it nothing. Couldn't
Couldn't
have
have
been
been, yeah,
anything. Just a weird,
just a trick of the light.
absolutely. And she will
Something
leave.
else I will need to talk to the captain about the horrendous light.
They're in his lighting. Why is it so dark in Med Bay? Um, Astrid,
Um, yeah, I mean, I wonder, do we cut a poker night? Or is that a good place to end if we have a lot of people at it? Um, Otherwise, maybe Tavilic mentioned not understanding why anyone would ice skate for fun, and
Okay.
I think that might be an interesting scene.
We did see Tavilic come in kind of fall before, just because it was unexpected.
Yeah.
Uh, so Tavilic, what do you think of that moment there?
It's perhaps, back on the Hollow Suite. Uh, it's not on the Hollow Suite, right? It's Tavilic is knocks on Varga's door, on a ward's door, and he has his Andorian ice skates, which are of a different configuration than human ice skates. Uh,
Much more bladed and pointy.
yeah, much more bladed and pointy. And he says, "Ward, you should really try these out. They're much more efficient than those pointy little things you were wearing before."
Well, let's see you prove it.
Of course, I used to ice skate 10 miles and back to school every day, doing the old Yorkshireman bit from the
Uphill both ways.
uphill both ways. Yes, of course. Your skates would never be able to do such a feat. Uh, and maybe we cut to the Hollow Suite where like he's really good at it, but it's all very, very, very workmanlike. He's like fast, clean cuts, etc. Right, but none of that grace, pirouettes, like whatever. Right, he's just like, why would you? Uh, the way you're skating is a completely inefficient use of momentum. You would freeze to death out there. It wouldn't help you evade the ice hounds of Andorra at all.
Um, and I mean, let's introduce those to the Hollow Suite at a later date. But let's see you take on I don't know, a team full of Wayne Gretzky's.
The Gretzky's. Are they a fierce and terrible enemy?
They are indeed.
Oh. I mean, if you introduce, I think, to ice hockey, and the fights that go on in ice, maybe like the last bit is of you changing it to, a team full of Wayne Gretzky's.
Yes.
Tibilic is, fighting. Yeah, you were right, Ward. This is great.
I love it. I love it. Let's definitely cut on that. And let's go to Commander Vate before we check in on the poker game.
Yeah, I mean, I did have I think if I could do like the end of my captain's log
Yeah,
and
please end the scene. Yeah, yeah.
then call in, I want Ward to be called in because I think it ties in neatly with what Bell and Ward were talking about earlier. But, captain's log, Commander Vate, we did a successful mission. Very happy with Dr. DeBell's performance. She led a successful away team in challenging conditions with very high stakes. I'm absolutely certain now that we have one of Starfleet's best science officers on the ship, but I'm still not sure it's what the Kintsugi needs in a first officer under the current conditions. Two other candidates spring to mind, and I'll be approaching one of them shortly. In regards to how the mission was a success, I'm not sure that Starfleet will agree with me entirely. I still wonder whether or not I should have ordered the orders to just open fire on the Dominion ship. We're at war, and our blood is going to be on my hands when they return to the front line. I'm still not sure I made the right decision. And even our cure of the locals, Lieutenant Tavelic tells me that they believe that the disease was a divine curse. I'm not sure whether I had really upheld the Prime Directive by delivering a cure that rained down from the heavens. But I'm happy with our new members of the crew. Even Mr. Barrick, who had somewhat of a mixed report from the away team. But everyone stressed his competency and his focus on saving lives. And those in Starfleet may disagree. I can't think of a higher priority. And then the At the door.
Mm-hmm.
Captain walk over. Lieutenant Ward. Come, take a seat, Lieutenant Ward.
Thank you, Commander. Is there something specific? I think everything is in my report from the away mission.
No issues with the report, Ward. You did excellent work. Everyone did excellent work. I'm proud of what went on down there. I actually have something to tell you. Something that our commanding officers told me just before we set off for our last mission. I'm afraid your former captain has been called back up to service due to his military record and the urgent need for trained veterans of the war of the Starfleet's wars. Captain Haskell has got command of a ship again.
Sure.
I thought you'd best hear it from me before you heard it from anyone else. So in case we are ever assigned, I have requested that the Kintsugi is never assigned to a mission in cooperation with Captain Haskell. But you know how things are at the moment, Ward.
Brought back for his exceptional operational history, which included sabotaging a dangerous mission we were all on, which included sacrificing his executive officer for his own career goals.
I agree, Ward. These are all things that I said to our commanding officers in my report. However, times are hard. We are at war with the Dominion. And Starfleet needs experienced officers in command, officers who have seen all of the threats that the Starfleet faces out here in space. And that brings me to my other point, Ward. We're in need of a new first officer. I'm wondering if you'd entertain the idea. I haven't made my decision yet, but you've served on this ship. You've served in very dangerous conditions. I'd like to count you as one of the potential candidates.
Well, so there are at least half a dozen more senior officers than I on board. Like a considerable margin in Lieutenant Commander Tatasa's case.
Well, you've worked out who one of the other candidates is, Ward. That's the level of insight that I'm happy to have on board my team. But you are right. It's certainly going to be one of the factors in my decision. But seniority isn't everything. I just want to know whether or not, if I offered you the job, I remember, and I, of course, recall the last time you were acting first officer on this ship under Captain Haskell, which was the last time that Lieutenant Tatassa was acting first officer on this ship as well. It was a series of complicated and regrettable circumstances. This is why I wanted to ask you whether you were, at all, if you were reluctant to even entertain the idea, I would understand.
I wouldn't say reluctant, sir, but
Conflicted then.
I think crew officers have certain expectations where rank is concerned.
Of course.
I think it mightn't sit well.
Well, of course, it would come with the promotion. You've served the Kintsugi well, and honestly, I'm surprised that you've not made at least full lieutenant by now. I can only assume it's because you've never put yourself forward for it.
Well, I assumed, well, I don't like to assume, but I maybe surmise that the wheels turn more slowly for lowly junior grade lieutenants. But I will renew my application to be made full lieutenant, and I'll leave this to you, but I don't think I'll refuse. If
Well,
You offered me the job.
well, I'll put in the work, Ward. It's about time, in my view. And remember, I think everything's going to move a lot faster here in the Federation soon, faster than we'd like. And I know that you're a safe set of hands, no matter how high speeds get. Dismissed, Lieutenant Ward.
Thank you, Commander.
Uh, yeah, so, I'm happy with that scene.
And Vate, what is the thing that makes you suddenly aware of the knife, of the object? We haven't seen it yet on screen, but something like what is the we need to see it. So what do we see here in this moment?
I think the thing that suddenly makes is that as Ward leaves, suddenly, and I think that like in his ready room, in his when it's not strapped to his, it's sort of like on a little like mantle on the side, right?
Uh-huh.
And as Ward leaves, Vate turns to the compute like to the computers and starts punching things in, and then suddenly there's a flicker of the lights around, like as though like the room is losing power, but the lights around the plinth remain lit and open, and Vate just turns and looks at it, and the camera like pans it in on the blade, and like some sort of like Inception style kind of like dull bassy sort of thing begins to rise as the lights flicker around it, and then suddenly it's all over, and it's like nothing's happened in the room whatsoever. And Vate just turns off the computer, goes over to the blade, and puts his hand on it and closes his eyes.
Okay. And Ward, like I think this is probably like a dialogue-free scene, but I do think we see the gathering of the poker players. So who is there for poker?
And I think we previously had Villa, Farga, and maybe Tatassa, if I recall correctly. Um, and I think, is there an invite out to Devel and I don't know.
So
I
Devel, Tatassa, Tavalik, yourself, who else?
and
I
I
think
mean
Vate has
it's
a
def
long-standing. I don't play poker because no one likes playing poker with the Betazoid.
Yes, yeah.
no one is inviting the commanding
Yeah.
officer to the
That as well, right? But yeah,
yeah. Um, I wonder if Mr. Varric, and maybe this is like something that she says to the rest of the table as we're getting ready. Like, I mean, Mr. Varric is not an officer, a junior officer, but he's a peer. I wonder if he'd be interested.
Uh, I think Farga may have mentioned it in the hopes that he would come,
Yeah,
and he reminded her that Vulcans can't bluff. But I think he shows up anyway with snacks.
And she seems, I think all of you will realize how excited Farga is when Varric comes in and like very different attitude than towards anyone else. What are Vulcan snacks for poker night?
Well, one of his interests is Xeno cuisine. And so he's bringing special snack food from, let's say, um, some random planet
Okay.
somewhere. Um, so he's indicates that these are a delicatessen and they're probably pretty gross, but maybe he's not a very good cook, or maybe they're just inherently gross. They are small finger foods, but they're not great because you need to use a napkin, and so it's kind of hard to use the cards afterwards.
Absolutely. It's Lyran food. They're a Zinti offshoot race. They have claws, so they can pick things up. They don't have to worry about getting their fur clear.
They
So,
have extra hands. Yeah.
yes. Uh, And I think we're going to end on
Uh,
that kind of
can I
shot.
add a
Yes,
little thing?
Devel? Yeah.
Yeah, I think like Develle shows up with like a gift of some coffee beans, but then she's like she read about Tatassa but hadn't actually met her, and it's like there's another Orion in Starfleet,
And
and she's very excited about this
yeah. Uh,
for
and
now.
I think that uh, kind of in the opposite to mirror that, I think Tatas's reaction to you is much colder and uncertain.
I love
I,
that. Yes.
yeah, yeah, that seems good. That's where we're going to stop. I do want to do Stars and Wishes. This is a game that has milestones. I'll talk about that a little bit next time, which is a chance to flip some things around and make some changes. We will I will do sort of regularly a chance to get some extra stuff, but we'll check in on that. It also, now that we've done this first mission, if you want to swap numbers around on stats or whatnot, that now that you've seen how rolls go, what are used for what, feel free to do that. And the same thing goes with talents. If there's a talent that you're like, oh, this may not be fit in with how get play would normally go, kind of thing. Um,
On that question,
yeah.
I was looking at the Commander Carlton, Captain Carlton's old talent of veteran.
Yep.
Uh, I just used the life path before to create eight as I did before, but I wonder if I could now be classed as a veteran after years of service and on the Kintsugi.
Absolutely. You can take the veteran that is, I believe, on, I think,
Get to roll like the weapon, the attack die basically, and if you roll any effect, you get to keep a point of determination right whenever you spend it, uh, which seems
yeah.
probably
So and it's on the talent tab, A56 if you want to swap that out for that. Now, did you know you weren't Novus before, right?
No, I was experienced
Okay.
normal.
Yeah. So you'll swap that out for one of your existing talents.
Yeah, I'll get
Okay.
rid of leadership because that depends on us being in a conflict, you
Right,
know.
right. Jolene, stars, wishes?
Oh, I mean, stars all around. I love Varric being like, "Well, I'm gonna go and try and heal them for Prime Directive be damned." And like Astra's just like, what? I can help out, but why am I here? I should be piloting. And like, just like digging in and just like being supportive and Vate being like, yeah, like it was very, of course, lol. Great scene management as always. Felt very Star Trek.
Good. Anything wishes wise?
Oh, I just looking forward to playing with y'all. I mean, I want to get to do some plant stuff at some point, obviously.
And we'll
She
get
loves her
some,
plants.
yeah, we'll get some plant stuff. We'll get some B plot next time.
Yeah, a
Set
routine
this.
survey mission where she's just collecting plants and everybody then hijinks ensue somehow.
No. Excellent. Donna.
Yeah, excellent session. I mean, yeah, I think Varric's not quite my way or the highway, but ready for a fight. I love that. And yeah, I was intrigued by Vate's decision to like give the Jem'Hadar a warning. I was like almost certain that it would be, fire first and ask questions later. So I'm happy to be surprised by how, you wrangle those values into shape. And yeah, and I think in those scenes we've had over the past the past segment, I love those kind of interactions. We get to see a bit more of the characters, and yeah, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop on the Haskell news because I know it had been introduced at the very start of last session when we started play, and I was like, no, Ward is not going to be happy with this. We'll see exactly how unhappy at a later session, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Uh, Dan.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal session. I makes me miss watching Star Trek less because that's like I get to experience it. So that's great. Uh, well, I'm really enjoying your characterization of Vate. I think he's like this really interesting, complicated captain, and very evocative of the kind of more later, series of Star Trek where we're dealing with kind of not flawed, but juggling a lot of things, not perfect. So I'm really enjoying that, watching him deal with the first officer thing, watching him being very decisive in the Jem'Hadar, but also kind of struggling with that a little bit or knowing it's going to cause problems for him later. I just am really enjoying watching that. So thanks for that. I have one. I was not expecting Lowell, our dialogue to end up in me offering regular counseling sessions on the crew, but I kind of want to. I wouldn't mind like a little aside uh, every once in a while on like ship's counselor's log or something like that.
Absolutely. I think it's a great chance to also explore some of the NPCs and maybe do like the kind of like ha if we do a bottle episode, then we have to have everybody checking in with you at least once for that.
I think the series is gonna end with him utterly regretting even making the offer.
Oh, perfect. Uh, and Will.
Yeah, stars for putting a starship combat in front of me. I was very eager to take it, but you know, um, just felt wrong just destroying them, even though that was clearly like what Starfleet Command would have probably have told Bate that he should have done, right? And I think Bate's very aware of that. It was like a real like vengeance for the convoy kind of thing.
I like it because we are so early days of the war, and I think that you show us what that struggle must look like
Mm.
for people who believe in Starfleet right now.
Yeah. I was definitely looking at the Prime Directive and being like, what grounds could we to protect this planet from if the Jem'Hadar wanted to invade it, right? But yeah, I loved Mr. Barrack's prickliness and his argumentativeness, and big star to Dan and to Jolene for enduring the endless callbacks to previous characters because I think they cast a long shadow, right? But the Tal and everything. Um, and I loved the scene with Ward about the promotion. I'm really enjoying the idea of that B plot that we've sort of come up with for the first officers. I'd be happy to take that as like one of my B plots, because it's kind of like the captain's decision, right?
Mhm.
I thought all the scenes in the ship at the end were great. I'm glad that we had the time to do that, like decompression at the end of it. Um, uh, I also a big star to Dan for creating our first completely new supporting character. I look forward to seeing more of Ensign Jerez. And the completely greenhorn on the ship being tasked with the weapons is a great one, I think. I love Dr. Deval. I mean, Dr. Deval, like, I couldn't think of a really good way of wording it in terms of like, but you are finely crafted to be like the perfect away team leader or
Yeah.
like brought the away team. Like anytime that the away team doesn't include Dr. Deval, that's silly because Dr. Deval has all those talents. Um, but yeah, wishes, I do at some point want to have Starship Combat, right? Because I think
Right.
that'd be I I would also, like I said in the Discord chat, I'd like to reverse my original answer to do people know about that? And I'm like, actually, it makes no sense. I was just like, hadn't quite listening to the old podcast made me remember how the Whispering Blade had come in because I remember that being really tricky for me to frame up. But
Hmm.
I think we worked it in the first season, and now I'm a bit more familiar with how it works. I think everyone's like, what is that with Lieutenant Vate and that blade that he's got on his belt? Um, I'd like obviously to see more weirdness. My unusual thing, more big sci-fi nonsense in
Hmm.
Fleet. But yeah, I'd like to assign, like opportunities to do a mission where Tassa's got like a something where she can demonstrate her first officer capabilities.
Hmm.
Um, I can put Ward in that. Now, to me, putting Ward in that seems like a great captain's off on an away mission while Ward is in charge of the ship, right? Because like that's where Ward's strengths are, right? Uh, Tatassa's more of a general, got more general abilities. Ward's like very much the flies a ship, to quote the Strange New Worlds character.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously more to Ward than that. I'm just saying that like it's very much a piloting machine, just as much as Devel is a away team machine. And it's which one does Commander Vate need as a first officer at this point, you know? Oh, and sorry, I know I'm going on, but I know we didn't want to focus on the horrors of war, but I still want the Dominion and that conflict to be like a presence, you know,
Yeah.
like
They're a shadow that looms over this, I think is very much. Jolene, you said you had another wish?
Yeah, based off the whole, I love the subplot of the first officer thing, but I think like a scene that would be really fun is Vate having a scene with all three candidates at the same time. So it's just like, oh, so like there's that way like all they can all speak up and or like the three being having to work together and be like, all right, what this is okay, they're my friends, they're my coworkers, but hey,
a mission
is
with
there
all,
competitive?
Yeah.
yeah, with all three of you perhaps as the
Yeah.
yeah, that would be cool. I guess I was kind of playing it as like Devel. I'm not told about it yet because
Yeah.
she's and
This is
Ward.
just Jolene speaking. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know, yeah, but just to sort of like because I'm open to changing that, you know, like and I hadn't told her that, and Tassa, I think he would have to have the same conversation because of the previous experience with Captain Haskell and being put as the first. She was kind of like put as imposed upon us as a first officer, and then was deposed basically when Captain Haskell left, essentially, right? So yeah. Anyway,
Uh, we'll do this next time because it's a mechanical thing, but every one of those secondary characters that appeared this time gets an advance. And we'll go through that and I'll have each of you pick for one of them. Essentially, they get to grow over time until they come up kind of through the range of the main cast. I am going to stop the recording